Welcome to Electrolysis Unplugged, Mentorship Hour Rewind, brought to you by the Electrology Education Coalition. I'm Joanie, and together with Stephanie, we bring you real conversations, expert insights, and community learning from electrologists around the globe. Whether you're a student, a seasoned professional, or simply curious about permanent hair removal, these episodes are here to educate, inspire, and connect us through the pillars of education, research, and community. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we've just been in a 2-hour discussion talking about, everything for next year, and we've got so many things planned. And so it's very exciting. I love making plans. I love having things to plan and things to do.
I like taking our notes and making them real. Because when we have a shared space to brainstorm,
yes.
The problem is sometimes it's stormy.
It's a little bit tornado-y in there, but
it's just chaos.
we managed to get stuff done at some point, I guess.
Yes.
So I'm going to mute most people. If you want to unmute yourself, just so you can, just in case for background noise, if you forget that you're unmuted or anything like that. So there is going to be a change in the time for next week, because next week we do have a special guest. And so, Stephanie, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about who it is and
Absolutely. So many of you know that I do bigger PCOS advocacy stuff, where it's not just behind the chair, it's more
legislative.
Yeah. Let's call it what it is. I do stuff on the legislative level. And one of my co-advocates, her name is Jenny Gritke, or Jennifer Gritke. She's a patient advocate. And she has I'm not going to tell her story tonight.
No, because
I really want to give her that opportunity to share. She's never done one of these before, but I had an opportunity to listen to a podcast with her a few years ago. And it kind of just bonded us further in the opportunity of understanding that we're both patients in PCOS. And we have found ways to provide care. So one of the things that she did for a long time, right now it's been taken down for a short period of time because she's recalibrating it, was she had an app called Every PCOS Body. It was everybody, but PCOS was in the middle. And it was a provider app. And she struggled with keeping organization on it. And so she's recalibrating it, and hopefully one day we'll relaunch it. But right now it's kind of on the back burner. But she did, when I say the work, we're putting that all caps, bold letters, right? She did a lot of work gathering providers. And then she and Letitia, who you guys met last year at the Advanced Electrology Seminar in California, they ended up having that podcast in which I got to be able to start to see that behind the scenes. So Letitia kind of carried that torch over with the providers. So I really want to hear from a patient on that side of why that's created such a fire within her soul to make accessible care available. Yesterday, the PCOS Challenge had a very quick and pretty important meeting in New York, where they reached out to a lot of the advocates like myself who do a lot of groundwork, footwork. And we all had a chance to share about 5 minutes of why we do what we do. And I'm actually going to share that link in here so you guys can watch. My segment it's shorter, but it's at about 4 minutes and 50 seconds ish was when it starts. But it was an opportunity for me to put an understanding that electrolysis is accessible care for insurance here in the States. You just have to be able to do the research and that kind of stuff. So I talked about the research that we're going to be doing. And it's patients like Jenny that encouraged me to speak so strongly on these things because they've had such a lack of it. And I know that as a patient, but as a provider, sometimes I felt was I the only one talking about this? And there is so much conversation happening that I'm excited about Sunday's PCOS lecture here But then I'm excited about finalizing that kind of like with the end of the month, listening to a patient whom hasn't necessarily needed us for hirsutism, but has been through the ringer with her PCOS. So it's really important, in my opinion, to be able to bring that in. So
that's great.
I am going to put that link in the chat here momentarily, and you guys can watch that at your leisure if you want to, if you care to. Just grabbing it from my 1 million text messages later.
So we did have a submitted question, and there was 2 others that came through on the in the community. The problem is that the community ones have disappeared from where I'm looking. But as we are discussing other things, I'll keep looking in the background. So what we can do is we can start with the question that was submitted in the discussion post. So you know that in your platform, when you're going in to access the links, the Zoom link for these mentorship hours and the recorded videos, there's a little section that has a discussion question submission. So if you fill that out and you send it over, we get it through email, and then we can then take that question and actually discuss it. So there was a question about discussing your professional opinions on the best aftercare product post-electrolysis and general conversation about aftercare best practices. And so what's funny is that I just did a 2-hour talk on electrolysis aftercare in Maryland. And this was the second time I did this talk. The first one was done at the Advanced Electrology Seminar here in Costa Mesa just this past June. So we can definitely talk about it. I've got lots of material. And some of these things, by the way, when we discuss it, if you're an esthetician, you might be able to implement some of those. If you're in a state where these things are not as regulated, or in a country where these things are not as regulated, you might be able to just incorporate it into what you're doing. If that's not the case, then it's good to just know what's out there, because I feel like you're in a much better place to advise clients, to direct clients, to understand you can help them care for their skin post-treatment if you understand what's out there. So even if it's something that you cannot do, and some of the recommendations that I have are things like lasers and like lasers that you get from a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon, not something that anybody that does not have an MD would be able to do anyway. So, but it's important to understand what's out there, what clients can do. And sometimes it's important to understand what's out there because some of these clients might be on a certain ointment or medicine coming into the session that might be a contraindication too. So, for example, somebody with pigmentation that's on hydroquinone, right? Somebody with acne that is on Accutane. And so tretinoin, I see that a lot on intake forms, right? So these are used to treat certain skin issues, but and it's pretty common. Not diagnosed. The word I'm looking for is prescribed. It's prescribed quite a bit to a lot of patients by dermatologists and things like that.
This weekend, when I was speaking for Illinois, we did a contraindications lecture. And one of the big conversations is somebody was like, Accutane doesn't exist any longer. And I was like, I still see it on charts. But I will say that traditionally they're no longer calling it. So at first I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these people are taking something that is not legit, right? Because you never know how honest they might be or how much they actually know about what's going on with their body. Because sometimes patients are kind of checked out with whatever they're given. And one of the conversations that we had was isotretinoin, Accutane, is very much, that is like one of the number one things I see come through my intake forms that is a red flag for me. Well, it's not gone away. It's just that is what they are calling it now. And so sometimes we have to do
relabeling.
We have to do extra steps to figure out what are the ingredients, because that's a really important aspect of this. I'm going to throw my headphones on just so everybody knows I'm going to look ridiculous because I only have my corded ones.
Okay, so let's start with, usually I kind of start this talk talking about what skin healing looks like, but let's say that we can skip this portion and talk about how the skin now is quote unquote damaged, right? It's got an injury and this injury has to heal. And so there's certain skin reactions like redness, swelling, scabbing, that we might expect post-treatment. And so we're talking about how we can help reduce that. Sometimes when it comes to aftercare, there's the immediate aftercare, which takes care of the acute reaction. So the swelling, the redness, and to a certain extent, some of the scabbing is what you can take care of within the first week or two post-treatment. But there is also the aftercare that you can do to skin when you have more aggravated skin reactions. And that usually, to me, is the hyperpigmentation or the persistent erythema. So, and then on the offset that there is damage to the skin, so irreparable damage, like pitted scarring and things like that, then we have certain things that clients can do in order to help alleviate some of the textural issues on the skin, right? So we have like 3 different kind of areas where we can target skin and help with healing, help improve the texture of the skin, the look of the skin. So whether it's immediately after treatment, which is normally what we're talking about. If you're talking about post-treatment care, this is what the electrologist is talking about. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do post-treatment. So client just finished with the session. They have not left your treatment bed just yet.
This episode is sponsored by the Shields Foundation. Our mission is to make electrology education accessible by providing safe and affordable student housing and scholarships for the underserved communities. Together, we are building a future where every student has the resources to succeed. Join us in supporting tomorrow's electrologist at shieldsfoundation.com.
So usually I have 1 or 2 things, cataphoresis and high frequency. Those will tend to be the 2 main forms of aftercare when we talk about using like a machine to do some sort of aftercare treatment. So Stephanie, do you do a lot of cataphoresis? Do you do high frequency? Do you do a mixture of both?
So right now, not a lot of high frequency post care, but I am doing anaphoresis. So my the way I teach, the entirety of your treatment is preparation, treatment, closure. So anaphoresis, treatment, cataphoresis. And in doing so, it has allowed us to have less downtime post-procedure because we are literally prepping the skin for trauma. And even if it's controlled, it's trauma. Cataphoresis tends to be one of the number 1 things I have seen. Mind you, I'm not an esthetician, for my patients to aid in the rapid recovery and bounce back at post-care. On top of that, aside from utilizing the ionized products during anaphoresis and cataphoresis, I also do a heavier, usually zinc-based product for protection. We oscillate between either sickle-fate, which is zinc and thermal spring water, or calmoseptine, which is more medicinal, and it has a more menthol, zinc, and many other essentials in healing. And it's meant for more of the heavier trauma that if somebody has like a lot of clearance to do. But we utilize it post-procedure for surgical prep patients because when you're thinking about the friction of that area, it allows that barrier so that moisture does not come into the vacant follicles. So that one's more for down south. And I go between those 2 based on whether or not they can handle the menthol or known, keeping it basic.
Sure. So I guess since we kind of started talking a little bit about cataphoresis, let's just go into what ionophoresis is, right? So that's another way to say it. It's the same process, same system. So we are talking about using the galvanic current in order to use one of the poles, and this time in a therapeutic way. So when she's talking about ionizable products, we're talking about products that carry a charge. So for example, this is from the Gala line, and this is one type of product that would have a charge. This is a positive charged product. They do have some that are also negatively charged. By some, I mean one. And that's to be used with the negative pole. So for when you're doing anaphoresis, that will tend to be the product that you would use on the skin. So I don't normally do anaphoresis pre-treatment, but I know that you do it a lot, and you will tend to use the negatively ionized product with that. So it actually enhances the penetration of the products when you use a product that is ionized. That being said, do you need to use an ionized product in order for the cataphoresis to be successful? And the answer is no. My little drawing here just shows you that during cataphoresis, the ground is negative, the electrode is positive. And my product is positively ionized. So Coulomb's law, if you remember from school, positives and positives will repel each other. And so the contact that I make here on the skin on top of this product actually forces the product deeper into the skin than if I just put it on the client and they walk out. If it's a neutral product, like just a straight aloe vera, that's perfectly okay too. It's just going to be an easier surface for the electrode to glide on top of. And also it's going to have the same type of properties that the product would have to begin with. This doesn't work without the client being grounded, right? So you have to have some sort, where you have the positive, you got to have the negative. If you're doing anaphoresis, it's reverse, but it's the same type of thing. The current itself does different things in the skin. Let me see if my next slide. Yeah, it does. So right there. So on this client, what I had was just kind of one of these little pill masks, and it's soaking in a toner that's positively ionized. And underneath it, I have some different gels that I had mixed together. And this is my little roller here. So when you're using the positive electrode, you're creating an acid on the skin. It's the hydrochloric acid. That's what's produced on the positive pole. So the hydrochloric acid will acidify the pH of the skin. That debalances the pH, and it also kills bacteria. So bacteria doesn't like it when you kind of deviate from what the normal pH of the skin is. And so things have a harder time surviving. It relaxes the nerves. It relaxes the tissues. It constricts the blood vessels. So when we talk about it reduces redness, what you have to understand is that the current itself is actually constricting the blood vessels. When you constrict the blood vessels, then redness and swelling will go down. The redness and the swelling, that histamine reaction, is a direct result of the wound module. When we do the electrolysis, we create that wound, that redness is there. So it just helps to kind of calm the skin afterwards. It also helps to contract the pilosebaceous orifice. That's the pore of the sebaceous gland that dumps into the hair follicle. So if you have a client that tends to break out, electrolysis can stimulate the sebaceous gland, especially thermolysis. And so this might help to kind of calm that down. First, calm the action of the sebaceous gland, but also contract that duct into the follicle. So they might help to prevent breakouts. Side note here, I find that high frequency, the Tesla high frequency, those wands, especially in the violet, does a much better job when it comes to breakouts. But for most clients, cataphoresis does at least do a pretty decent job. So those are kind of the main effects for this. And I don't think that I have the anaphoresis one on there, but do you want to kind of go through kind of what you found anaphoresis actually does?
Absolutely. It's funny that you were talking about the high frequency, because I was like, well, maybe I should bring this up. I do have a high frequency wand at home because I have teenagers. And we like to zap those little pesky pimples. And it is incredible for recovery on that. They don't enjoy it. I will be honest. But it is something that we do in that space. When it comes to anaphoresis, and, as somebody that came up, primarily utilizing multineedle galvanic and blend, one of the things that you consider, and this works for thermolysis as well. I'm going to give this as an example. When we're looking to prep the skin, okay, where it works as a generality is that it's going to soften the tissue. It's going to hyperhydrate. Okay, it'll help to prep the skin, kill bacteria in the area, and just give a balanced approach to the variable of the patient. Because most patients, and we all know this, it does not matter how much you ask them to prep their skin, how well they do it, is that they tend to struggle with following that direction. And so when I was back living in Arizona underneath such dry climate, I recognized the fact that even if I was having my clients hydrate, it was not enough because we're basically fighting the elements as well. Okay. So that gave me a baseline when they first came in that prepped them so they weren't overworking the tissue from just having even more post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, because we were basically balancing the heat that they just experienced from the outside before their session. Okay. But that softening of the tissue, they're creating more porous interior of the follicle. And so when you are doing something like galvanic or blend, it allows your lye to saturate within that stem cell area better in that space. And in the flip side, when you're doing cataphoresis, it's going to cancel everything out. So basically, one, it's creating a prime space for that. And then at the end, it's closing out and negating any additional supposed lye that's left behind. Okay. So the anaphoresis basically opens, dilates, softens, and then allows that hydration to get into the areas that it was not already doing so prior to ever doing any type of pre-care. Outside of this, and you can use the ionized products. Some people will utilize like a saline, like a salt water in that space. Early on, I would basically saturate a baby wipe or gauze in water as well as a salt compound to allow for that to kind of help me. Now I don't. Now I use products instead because it's just easier. And on the thermolysis side, what it's going to do is just give me cool, hydrated skin before I create a lot of thermal reaction in the area.
Okay, very nice. So we had a question about the high frequency unit, so I can kind of go through a little bit of what that does, just so we can explain. So high frequency unit would look something like this. And so this little machine here, and these other attachments, not really necessary for the purpose of what we're going to be talking about, but this is alternating current. And so we have these mushroom electrodes here, and these mushroom electrodes usually come in one of two different types of gases. So inside the electrode, there's an inert gas, and then depending on if it's in these are some of the two most popular ones, if it's argon or neon, it will glow a different color, and they have different characteristics of what they do on the skin. So I will tend to use the argon gas electrode more than I do the neon, because the main reason that I choose to do high frequency would be to kill bacteria and to help prevent breakouts. So usually this is the one that you're going to use if you got the teenagers at home and they need to zap pimples. You kind of want that argon gas, the violet one. Mm-hmm. So let me show you, like, it looks a little something like this. This is actually the pink one. So this one is the anti-aging one. Usually if you buy one of these little machines, they have a lot of handheld Tesla high frequency machines on Amazon that you can buy.
I'm dropping one in the chat, which is the one that it's the new Derma one.
Sure. They might not be as powerful as like a machine like this. This is a professional machine, but I've had some clients that, they wanted to continue their aftercare at home. And so that was something that they could buy. So they bought one of their own little machines and the little handheld ones, and they were able to kind of use it there. So this is the anti-aging one. It's really good for healing and regeneration. It reduces inflammation. So you can use it post-treatment. But the one that I tend to use, you can kind of see here how it glows more purple inside. So this one is also one that is going to be for, it reduces inflammation, it helps with healing and repair, but it also helps to dry out excess oils and sebum on the skin. So this is where we have a lot of success with killing or drying out the skin so that you don't have breakouts, and also it's antimicrobial. So that tends to be the high frequency question.
Crystal asked, is it okay to use high frequency if you're not an esthetician and anaphoresis in California? I don't have that answer, so I'm leaning in on you.
Yeah, so I would, I always kind of think like it's AC current. We're trained in using thermolysis, right? Mm-hmm. And galvanic, we're trained in using the galvanic current too. So I feel like it should be. Crystal, what I would do is probably check with the board on to the exact answer for that. I think that the high frequency is actually more for the purpose of aesthetics. But again, I feel like we could kind of argue both sides on this one.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you say that because I was told by my insurance that if it is within my scope, I was trained on it, and it is on my machine meant for me, that I'm allowed to do it. So I would also double check in that space as well, just to make sure you got a little bit of a CYB.
And most of the time, your electrolysis machines should, if they come with cataphoresis, they come with anaphoresis. So you don't have one without the other, right? We have training in using alternating current, right? It's part of our curriculum. It's part of our training. So I feel like a machine like that could be, it just depends on what the description of the uses of the machines are and if it fits within kind of what we're using it for.
But so, I definitely, I don't know about you, Joanie, but I definitely feel that this is a conversation that we really need to, let people drive home. For a long time, they stopped doing anaphoresis and cataphoresis. And it's so beneficial. And we are trained. It is literally part of our curriculum. So
yeah, the only time that I end up skipping doing cataphoresis post-treatment for the most part is when a client's in maintenance and I do literally 5 hairs.
Yeah.
Then there's no point. And even then I have some clients who are like, oh, do it anyway, because it feels good, right? So it's a massage. Yeah. So I tend to like to finish the session with some sort of, on a positive note. It feels good, it calms the skin. So I tend to like to do that at the very least. There's other things. If you're an esthetician, you can also maybe incorporate light therapy. Part of this conversation about the aftercare was, and the presentation that I put together was also to see about how electrologists can increase profits by incorporating more things. So if you're an esthetician and you want to, for example, sell an upgraded aftercare, you could do something where you have an add-on at the end of a session and then you incorporate light therapy, for example. And so light therapy, this is something that is for estheticians, but a lot of electrologists will be also dual trained. So you never know. And sometimes in certain states, it's not really deregulated, I guess, or what am I trying to say? It's
just not regulated. Yeah. When I moved to Washington, there was a change in my scope. So currently I do not have a laser in my practice, and mainly because my practice is more educational than it is treatment based. That's not a forever thing. And I'm currently very heavy into the process of getting us licensed. And part of that is when Crystal's like, I would love to change, she said, I'd love to help change the rules in CA that would allow us to do broken capillaries on the face. I think that there are so many things that we can be trained within our scope that we should be allowed to. Unfortunately, our predecessors had worry, and that worry led to legislation that is against that. And just like laser, right? And I always say that the perfect people to understand stuff in these scopes are the people who are heavily trained in it. So the perfect laser technician is an electrologist. Why? Because we're literally trained on how to kill a hair, right? Within the broken capillaries, as much as I love zapping broken capillaries and skin tags, that shifts our scope sometimes outside of hair and more into skin. And so it's then you have to go, okay, if I'm going to be trained in that space, what do I need to learn extra? For me, the reason I did have that is because I had training in vein removal with laser. So it was you have these weird overlaps. If we can start to kind of combine those things, and a lot of this stuff comes down to a drafted letter and sponsors. And enough of you, I don't know, within the 2 organizations in California, I'm using you guys as an example, how many electrologists there are overall, but that's a lot of voices that can push a drafted letter to the boards to push you guys back into those spaces. It doesn't just have to be one, like yes, Crystal, like connect with Joanie and like in those ways, because it is important.
Yeah.
But it's so important that you guys join together. That's why it's beautiful to have E2C, because we are a community of people pushing towards advancements in education. I don't know what you mean by, I heard 1,500-ish in cats. Oh, electrologists. Woo, that's cool. That's beautiful. That's 1,500 electrologists in the state.
It's going back up.
It's going back up. That's what we want to see.
Because that was actually a lot less a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's good. So the other part of the question was talking a little bit about products and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought that we could kind of start discussing, so I loosely talked about it in the beginning of this, but like, so we just talked about what to do like at the session to begin the healing process, right? Now, there are people that are going to be a little bit more prone to aggravated skin reactions post-treatment, right? So let's say we have our person that is sensitive to hyperpigmenting, or a client that is very, very, very sensitive skin. And so persistent erythema could be kind of on the table if you're doing some pretty aggressive work. So usually, especially with hyperpigmentation, this is something that is caused by inflammation. So I always talk about how crucial the first 24 to 48 hours are for clients like that. If the issue is that that the inflammation causes a problem, that we have to start reducing the inflammation early on. So we have to be able to get a handle on the inflammation. So let me get, there's certain products that we can use that I think are great. And so if you're looking to incorporate a skincare line into your office, then you might want to look into things that reduce inflammation if you have a large population of people that tend to hyperpigment, or at least keep something on hand for those clients that do hyperpigment. So if that hyperpigmentation comes from inflammation, so it's a response to inflammation, then our approach will tend to be to help reduce inflammation. If we can't do that by working less, right? So sometimes, yeah, of course, you can like feather your work, you can spread out your work, you can maybe try to reduce intensities and things like that. But let's say we're working on a beard, and so, you know, it's difficult to be able to dial it back. So we can address it in the first 48 hours when that redness and that inflammation is at its most critical. So there's certain products that have certain active ingredients that are really good for preventing or helping to control the production of melanin that causes hyperpigmentation. There was, these I had in the list in the handout. Let me find my handout. Do you have a product that you tend to recommend?
So my post-procedure products, I keep it simple. I absolutely love Aventhermol. Is probably one of my favorite brands for electrolysis, just because the thermal spring water, and it's meant for the research is done heavily in eczema and rosacea and calming and that kind of stuff. And so pretty much most of the products there have a thermal spring water base with aspects of like scar gels, silicones, zinc products. Their SPFs are all mineral based. They used to have a chemical one. I don't think that they do any longer. I haven't seen it, at least recently. They have cleansers. There's a wide range that even if my patients were to want to use a topical like BB cream or foundation post procedure, they have that BB cream within their products that I gravitate towards. Now, I have also used Oxynagala, but I was trying it out for myself. I have not gotten to a point, and this is just, you guys, I have silly skin, if anybody wants to know. And I easily will break out with things. And for whatever reason, the cleanser that I had gotten this last time that has that cucumber scent to it from the
Is it the cream one?
The cream one.
Yeah.
Is just, and I tend to use cream cleansers for myself. It's just too much for my skin. I break out like right in here every time. Right. I haven't seen that for my patients. They love it. So I think it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm extra. But those are the things that I like to use.
Because I use that one, but I have really dry skin. So for the most part, like I feel like I need it. So this is kind of the sheet that I had put together, and this is some of the most typical, common active ingredients that are for that have anti-inflammatory properties. For example, there are more than that out there. Okay. But what I did too is I kind of pulled some of the products that like I use and that have that as an active ingredient. So I kind of cross-referenced it to the technical guide for the Gala line, for example, but like Quench is not Gala line. So there's other things. But the idea is just kind of you go back into your products and you want to see what the active ingredients are. And then to me, a product should be either, and at the top here, I have healing, right? So this is a healing agent. So healing products, anti-inflammatory agents, so anti-inflammatory products and things that are more specific to post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So if we, let's say, start down here, right? Some things probably shouldn't be used right after when there's a lot of work being done, but I just kind of dumped all of the things from my research that I had pulled. And so, and some of the ones, which was actually kind of an interesting thing. So the BioLift is a collagen mask sheet. It's not cheap, but it's really good. And this one actually showed up, like it had vitamin B3, it has arbutin. So it's actually really good type of product or mask for this type of aftercare. And then you have it up here in a couple different areas. So if you want anti-inflammatory, oopsies, stop. There we go. So aloe vera, right? Aloe vera, great anti-inflammatory. I feel like a lot of aftercare products have aloe vera. If you're going to be, and I don't know if you remember this from the conference, there was this one lady during the Q&A that was just like, it's like, I hate all products. I hate all facials, right? So what do you recommend I do, right? And it's like, keep it simple, stupid type of thing.
Yeah, keep it. Yeah.
So, yeah. Sunscreen, aloe vera, you're good to go. You know, moisturizer of some kind, a screen protector, a sun protector of some kind, and then you're good to go. Screen protector. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at a screen. So green tea extract, chamomile extract, vitamin B3, licorice extract. So there's a lot of different things that could be active ingredients that you could find in different things. Turmeric extract, so Quench PT was a product I used to sell quite a bit for clients when they were hyperpigmenting or doing a lot of work. And the main reason was because the active ingredients was curcumin, which is turmeric extract. So it's really, really strong anti-inflammatory. So, you know, turmeric, right? So this is, if you're kind of following a little bit, vitamins and diet stuff, not diet stuff, but like health stuff, right? Turmeric is a big anti-inflammatory. They've made pills out of it, powders out of it. So, this is actually an active ingredient in the Quench cream, and it was really, really good for anti-inflammatory properties post-treatment.
There was a product that we carried for quite some time at my parents' practice, where, kind of funny, it was like we had a naturopath there and they brought it in, and then the naturopath like moved on to another thing, and we kept selling it. The only person we sold it to was my grandfather, but it was called curcumin. And he would buy cases of it at a time because he was all about it. But he'd swear by that. And it was like one that you would ingest, right? So there was a little capsule that you take multiple times a day. And it was supposed to be for inflammation. It gave me fire breath. Like the heartburn was rough. And I was like, how is this for inflammation? So be careful what you take.
Yes.
Coming soon in 2026, the AES Spring and Summer Seminar, plus more virtual CEU events to keep you inspired, educated, and connected.
brought to you by Joanie Ganella and Stephanie Shields of the Electrology Education Coalition. Stay tuned and get all updates at electrologycoalition.com. So how about in the group? I mean, we're a good amount of us. You can definitely put it in the chat, but I'd like to know kind of what your protocol is for aftercare. Like, what have you been doing? What are you thinking of doing, interested in doing? So just so that we kind of have an idea as to, is there something that you've discovered that works really well for you? It'd be nice to be able to discuss with some of you guys too on anything else that's kind of out there. So she's the keep it simple. So aloe vera gel in the sunscreen. That's the basic kit, right?
I tell my patients I want the trilogy. Okay. I want a good gentle cleanser, a moisturizer, and an SPF, mineral based is preferred. As long as you see me, those are on your face.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the clients that, you could have all of these different therapies and all these things that you want to do. The only time that you're really controlling what's going on people's faces is when they leave your office. Any other time, they could tell you whatever it is, but they're going to do what they want. And so how do you handle clients that maybe like don't adhere to your protocols, don't take care of their skin afterwards, or, and it's not because sometimes they want to be difficult, but I had a client, for example, that used to ride their bike to work, from work to their appointment. And we live kind of in the city, so it's not the cleanest air in the world. And so when they would come and you would just wipe their face off, the gauze would come back black. Mm-hmm. So, no fault of their own, but they're outside in the elements. And so this is just kind of what we had to deal with. And so I guess to finish up this story, pretty much with this client, we had to keep it kind of simple. This was not going to be a 19-step Korean skincare protocol. That was never going to happen. So it was literally just go get some, hypoallergenic, perfume-free baby wipes, keep it in your backpack. And anytime you're getting off your bike, you're getting to wherever you're going, I just want you to just do just a little wipe up the skin, wipe up the face.
I do that I have little Neutrogena makeup wipes. Mm-hmm. They go into the post-procedure kits that we have at the office. And they are a game changer for those difficult patients. I mean, I do have cleanser that they could utilize. Earlier in my career, it was so common to use the orange Neutrogena salicylic, and it was so drying. And I think that was the moment I changed my mind on I mean, if you're oily, yeah, but then you're overproducing big time. More oil when you're stripping yourself like that. And so those wipes clean without stripping. And I like that.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a couple more. Let's see here. So Quench PT. Yeah, great product. I like it. Aloe vera gel with tea tree oil and Manuka honey. Mm-hmm. Had a client that got real big into Manuka honey. And she's also had a microscopic pimple and she went in to see a dermatologist to get it injected with cortisone. Yeah, she was a little bit much with that. But, sometimes it's just kind of just leave your skin be. It's normal to get a little microscopic pimple every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But she got into the Manuka honey. So she would do so much of that post-session and everything like that. I don't really see anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about it, though, to know what it does on the skin, except for maybe just kind of kill bacteria.
It's in my hair product. For my head, when I wear my hair curly, that's the main ingredient. That's kind of funny. I don't know why.
No, looks like we lost Crystal maybe. So aloe with electrolytes for cataphoresis and send client home with an ice cube. Crystal, do you ever do sunscreen recommendation? Is it part of your protocol? Do you sell any products at your office, or is that kind of that? Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm she's there. I hear her voice. Yeah. I mean, ice is again some type of cooling. We sell these rollers and they're not a heavy seller, when I have somebody that's really inflammatory skin, they're called calm rollers. They're from the same people that make the calm razors, and those are like the money goes towards PCOS research. You throw them in the fridge, the patients buy them, and they love those.
Are they reusable?
They are reusable. I don't reuse them at the office.
No, but like if they take it home, like they can clean them off and use them again.
Yep. You guys can, they're on Zapmaster's distribution page. You can always purchase and see what it's like, but they're really nice because you can throw them in a freezer, and like they're nice for hot flashes. But they're quite lovely. So, I definitely would say that they're not a heavy seller, but the ones who love it swear by it.
I used to have these little gel ice packs that were like about yay big. Problem with those is that they warm up really, really quickly, right? So it doesn't stay very cold for very long. But if you have a client that leaves and, we did some pretty intense work, and it's usually going to be face or it's going to be Brazilian. Those tended to be the two areas that would swell the most. And, the clients would feel the most discomfort with those two areas for sure.
I'm going to see if I can find this off screen for a second, but Uline, they have these perfect face size. They're like about a little bit bigger than a business card, and they last quite some time, easily 15 minutes or longer. I think that the ones that I usually get are about a 30-minute, like ice cold, and then like just cool after that. But I like it because it's like you can do 15-15 kind of thing. And they're phenomenal, and you can buy them in bulk. The box is pretty large, so if you have a freezer in your office, just understand that you're only going to be able to put small batches in at a time. But the ice packs themselves are not.
Melissa was asking about icing pre-treatment for numbing. Well, I mean, I've heard of people doing that. I have tried it once. I got more in the way, and it wasn't giving people enough results for me to really kind of keep it going. Like I tried, so they would numb in one spot as I worked over here. And then like a little bit later, then they would switch, and I would try to work on that area that had just been unnumbed. And I would maybe get lucky if we got like 5 minutes of work in that area before it was already unnumbing. And so I didn't think that it was worth it, but others might be of differing opinion on that one.
I need to find her with ice pack.
In her bra? Oh boy. Do you
Like,
put it in a fridge once she's there, or is it just like cooling off that area? That's funny.
it's like defrosting her tatas. When it comes to like the ice pack scenario, the one thing that I like in lieu of the ice packs are those the injection vibration units that have the stick on them. They're used a lot in like Juvederm and Botox now. And you can wipe them down and use them in your practice. I like to put them inside of a glove and have them hold it. Some people are heavily distracted by them in a positive way, and other people cannot stand it. So I recommend having your client like during a sample treatment kind of thing, trying it out for that time frame, because those who have a very sensitive like pickle sensation, it makes them a little bit more mobile.
So explain to me again what you're talking about.
They are a little T-shaped bar. And they...
is it metal and it gets cold? Okay.
Not cold, just vibrates. I mean, you probably could cool it. I bet you could cool it. Well, I'm going to go play with something tomorrow. I'll let you guys know how that goes. To be continued. Because I can't imagine that hurting it. I don't know of any reason why I couldn't have a battery device inside the fridge.
People keep batteries in the fridge.
Sometimes. I think they do, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put the picture, like the little link up here. And I can show a picture of it. They cost maybe like $10 to $20 a unit. They take like a triple.
That's kind of like those little buzzies, right? That Kelly used to always use.
Well, the Buzzy was because me and Mom had a friend that worked for Buzzy, and that was when it ended up in the EW magazine. And the Buzzy is great. They're so clunky that it's like having too many cooks in the kitchen. You got your client's hand there, you got the buzzy there. If you're holding it, your hand's going numb. I do think that anywhere you put vibration, it's going to confuse your brain enough to take focus away from what you're doing. So what I did instead was I would put the buzzy kind of like on their collarbone. And so their focus there more on me because it's so intense in that space, but you're still feeling it. Like it's still a sensation. It's just, not as bad. Sorry, I'm just typing this in, and apparently I can't type in, the word vibration.
There was a comment about that a client, it's from Jocelyn. She has a client that likes to fidget with her little ice pack. And so that's, I need to put it in the chat. So she likes to fidget with her ice pack and it distracts her. It helps with the discomfort. That's kind of the same thing. Like I have a little squeezy ball, so if you have one of those stress balls around the office, that tends to work. I'm going to
share this picture just so you guys can see. This is what I'm talking about. So it's a little vibration device. On here, I'm sure this is much more expensive. On Amazon, it's $20.
Okay.
So just vibration aesthetic device is all it is. I don't enjoy clients that fidget near my workspace because they forget that I'm working. I don't mind people having a fidget as long as they're not moving. And I'm guilty of talking with my hands as a patient myself. So I get that it's not, like, it's just a thing. But it is really difficult when they are trying to do something that's like distracting them, and bringing in a fidget. Did I tell you guys the snake story or no?
I don't think so.
So back in Arizona, one of my girls had a patient that had a therapy animal that I was unaware of. I was unaware that was in the treatment room, and she had it in a couch in the front of her. And my technician kind of rushed and asked me to come into the room, not really knowing what she's asking me for yet. And when I came in there, and I'm talking to her about the area that she's working in, out of the corner of my eye, there's a snake. And I'm just like, and she goes, I was like, there's a snake in here. And she goes, oh yeah, that's my therapy snake. And I was like, that's not a therapy animal that you can have here because we can't see outside of a small range. And snakes can be attracted to movement and think you're dinner. Because I grew up with my brothers having snakes. So I really understand why you would need something to support. And if you have a therapy animal that is less of like
volatile,
that would be great. I was like less of, and she's like, I get it. I just thought I could do it. And I'm like, I wouldn't have been that person that thought I could ever.
Well, I feel like snakes, like 50-50 chance that somebody is like super afraid of snakes. Like they don't bother me that much, but at the same time, like I know some people just need to see it and they're flying out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty common fear. So I feel like that's a pretty big ask to bring something like that. Like it's like coming in with your pet tarantula, It's like, no. You just be like this from the corner. You're not even not working, just stuck.
I'd be like, remove that from this room. Yeah, I'm not removing hair until that is out of the room. I understand the need for like a service or support animal. It's just that was like way outside of. I think that ultimately that's why the technician called me, and she never kind of like fully. I mean, later on she was like, there was a snake in there, right? No, that was like we both saw that, and I was like, yeah, we both saw that, and she goes, okay.
So it wasn't even disclosed. She just was trying to hide it.
Yeah, it was a snake in a like crocheted satchel around her neck.
No, thank you.
That she carried in like a purse, and then the snake came out of the purse during treatment. So, don't do that. That is the wrong distraction tool, everybody. Unless you're down for snakes, and then you do you. But there's just so many interesting ways that people try to navigate our treatment rooms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, and this is why I like mentorship hour a lot. Sometimes I say stuff and the new students look at me like, that happened? And I realize that we have some really weird stuff that happens in our career that I've kind of compartmentalized. I don't know if in the chat you guys want to drop in, like, yes, you've experienced it or not. But I definitely think that there are some things that like are a little surprising that we come across.
Well, I feel like we work with people and there are a lot of different people out there with lots of different things and lifestyles and whatever else. And so sometimes you feel like you've seen it all. And then somebody comes out of the woodwork and you are surprised. But
yeah.
And it's, you know, I think it's just part of service industry, working with people and things like that. You know, I think it's great for that, honestly. And I think that sometimes you're just kind of taken aback. Like, I just can't. But
yeah, no,
it's the joys of the service industry. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that we have just a few minutes left, and you guys, our little anecdotal moments, well, important.
Yes.
So that you know you're not alone, are not the only things that you talked about. So, anybody have any last questions for the last few minutes? You guys enjoy? Have anything you want to say?
And if not, then I think that's kind of where we're going to wrap up today, I guess.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you guys getting here tonight. Oh, you have one. Bring it on. Unmute. I'm going to unmute you. We're asked to.
I was just going to say, are we going to get together at the conference?
Yeah. Okay.
So we've been discussing it. So
Okay.
Yes.
We asked questions to figure out that we weren't overlapping with anything important during it. I will say that I am there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. I leave very early Sunday morning. I'll be an exhibitor as well. So I won't be in the lectures this year, just because I'm way past what I need right now. So I'll be helping with Charlotte Homes booth. But I'm down, even if we can't make it like an official E2C meetup. Like, we can put in the classroom online, just meet us here, and whoever wants to. Is everybody, or I know Crystal will get to see you, but like, is anybody else on this going to the AEA meeting?
Not this year.
Not this year. Yeah, I mean, being close to Halloween is really rough.
It's weird.
Close to, it's right over Halloween.
Yeah, literally. In
Terrible
fact,
idea.
yeah, Mike is coming out a day later because the kids are like, "You're leaving on Halloween." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys."
Yeah.
And they still like it. I love that. The teenagers are still down for it and dressing up and that kind of stuff. But I hate that.
Yeah.
So,
not ideal. But we'll make the most of it, and hopefully we'll get together with those that are there, and, you know, we'll be great.
Great.
Awesome. And Priscilla, thank you for that. We love this. This has been a really cool year having mentorship hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, ladies, everybody have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week. Earlier.
4:30. Yeah. So 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. So make the math for whatever that means wherever you are.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Right. Peace out, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Clear, consistent aftercare builds trust and enhances client outcomes. Thank you for joining us and reinforcing these vital steps.